Today I'm shooting Tony driving our car to get panning shots, and this is a great photo project for not only learning shutter speed, but just getting a really cool portfolio shot of a car. So let me tell you how I do it, because it's not that hard. The first thing that I did was found a location. Actually, our cameraman Frank helped me. We're at Fox Hop Yard in East Haddam, taking pictures on this beautiful stretch of road in front of the pond. So I have my location, and you have to also consider that when you're choosing your background, the farther away that it is from your car that you're shooting, the harder time you're going to have blurring the background. So I tried to pick a background that is beautiful and layered and also somewhat close to the vehicle I'm going to be shooting. Let's talk next about settings. The settings can be pretty easy. All you really need is your camera and a lens, unless it's a super sunny day and you need a neutral density filter. You're going to need to put your camera into shutter priority mode, and then I put it into auto ISO. I put it on continuous autofocus high, and then I played with my shutter speed, moving it from about 1/150th of a second down incrementally to see how slow I could go before I totally lost focus on the car. Now, you're going to try taking some shots and notice that everything goes from being too sharp to too out of focus, and that's perfectly normal. This is a game of numbers when you're taking these types of photos. You're going to get most of them out of focus. Most of them are going to look bad, so just keep practicing and eventually you'll get some nice and sharp in the way that you want them looking. I'm going to start at 1/60th of a second and see if that's too fast. That's pretty good, but the background is a little bit like too sharp. It's not getting that movement that I want. So I'm just going to bump it down to 1/125th of a second and try again. And notice with my technique, you want a nice, smooth, even movement to go with the car. And you don't want a lot of up and down motion. That's going to introduce too much movement in your photos. You want left to right, right to left, and then move your whole body smoothly. Another tip is you might have the inclination when you get to the end of your pan to drop off your camera and put it by your hip or lift your camera up to look at it. Make sure you complete the smooth movement so that you're not getting that extra access of movement this way. Another panning tip is that your lens might actually have a stabilizer mode, and I have 1, 2, and 3, and 2 is a panning mode on my lens. So I'm going to put it into 2.
After some experimentation, I realized that 1/50th of a second was about as low as I could go with my shutter speed before I introduced too much motion into the car. Look at the wheels in these shots. At 1/160th of a second, there's not much motion, but at 1/50th, you have a nice blur.
It's actually a really overcast day and it's pretty dark, so I don't need a neutral density filter. If you're wondering what that is, it's like sunglasses for your camera. So if it's so bright outside that when you go to use a slow shutter speed, everything's blown out, your picture's way too bright, you probably need a neutral density filter, and you can just screw it onto the front of your camera like this. Now you can take long exposures and have your photo properly exposed. Another trick for getting your subject in focus is matching the speed of your subject, which sounds a little bit simple, but you actually have to anticipate the speed that they're going to continue to go. And so you have to be nice and smooth and make sure you keep them in the frame. It's going to take some practice and it's going to take a lot of pictures, and that's okay. Just keep shooting. When you're choosing the gear to use, the camera isn't going to make a huge difference, but the lens you choose will make your photo look different. If you use something too wide angle, you might find that you have a more difficult time creating that nice, clean blur in the background with that movement. If you use a telephoto lens, it's going to be easier to get the background to blur into a line. And that's because it's making everything in the frame condensed. Think of it like when you're in a car and you're looking out the car window. Everything close to the car window, like telephone poles, is moving by really quickly, and everything far away on the horizon seems to move more slowly. It's that same kind of concept with your lens. When you're shooting wide angle, everything won't move as much. When you're shooting telephoto and getting up close, it's going to move more. So I'm going a little more telephoto to get a little more movement in the background. So that's it. This is not a complicated photo skill, but it's one that you can use a lot, and not just for panning cars, but in sports photography or with runners, cyclists, even sometimes wildlife. You can use the panning effect to create movement in your photo. And in chapter 10 of our book, Stunning Digital Photography, we have sports information where you'll learn all about panning and more. So thanks for watching this video, and be sure to share your photos with me on Instagram. Thanks so much.